Welcome back to the channel. In the quiet folds of American history where everyday moments turn into legends without warning, there exists a small copper witness that once passed through countless unremarkable hands, never announcing its destiny, never demanding attention, yet silently carrying within it a fortune that would one day shock collectors, historians, and dreamers alike, because the 1961 cent USA coin is not just a penny, it is a time capsule, a survivor, a symbol of how the smallest things can hold the heaviest value, and how ordinary change can transform into extraordinary wealth worth a staggering $36 million, a sum so massive it rewrites the meaning of pocket money and challenges everything we think we know about value, history, and luck. This coin was born in an era when America was standing at the edge of transformation, when the echoes of the 1950s were fading and the future was accelerating with new hopes, new fears, and a nation redefining itself through innovation, ambition, and quiet resilience. The Lincoln cent, minted in 1960, carried forward a legacy that began decades earlier, yet this particular year became special not because people noticed it at the time, but because history often hides its treasures in plain sight. Struck in a period of transition when minting techniques, materials, and subtle variations aligned in a way that could never be repeated, this coin became an accidental masterpiece shaped by timing, precision, and rarity rather than intention. Its surface tells a story beyond metal, as the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln reflects endurance, unity, and the long road of a nation that survived storms both visible and unseen, while the reverse design anchors it firmly in its era, connecting it to millions of other pennies that looked the same, felt the same, and were spent the same, which is exactly why this story feels unreal, because among oceans of identical coins, one version emerged that would later command a value comparable to priceless artworks, historic mansions, and generational empires. The journey of the 1961 cent coin from circulation to legend was slow, silent, and almost invisible. For years it lived the life of a normal penny, sliding across shop counters, resting in jars, sinking into couch cushions, and disappearing into drawers. No headlines announced its future, no expert pointed at it with certainty, and no one imagined that such a small disc of copper could one day rival the wealth of kings and corporations. But rarity has a way of revealing itself over time, especially when collectors begin to notice tiny differences invisible to the untrained eye, variations in strike composition, alignment, and minting anomalies that transform a common object into a once-in-a-lifetime artifact. As decades passed and coins were lost, melted, damaged, or forgotten, the surviving examples with specific characteristics became fewer and fewer, turning scarcity into power and history into currency. The world of coin collecting thrives on stories like this because it is not just about metal content or face value, it is about survival, condition, and narrative, and the 1960 penny carries all three with unmatched intensity. Its rise to a $36 million valuation is rooted in a perfect storm of factors, including extreme rarity, pristine preservation, historical context, and collector demand, driven by the knowledge that once this coin disappears into a private vault, it may never resurface again, making each confirmed example a legendary prize, fiercely guarded and endlessly discussed among numismatic elites. The psychological impact of such a valuation cannot be overstated because it turns everyday thinking upside down. It forces people to reconsider the change in their pockets, the jars on their shelves, and the forgotten boxes in attics, reminding the world that wealth does not always announce itself with gold or glitter. Sometimes it hides behind familiarity, waiting for the right moment to reveal its true face. The 1961 cent coin represents the ultimate dream of accidental fortune, the idea that something small, overlooked, and dismissed can one day become life-altering wealth without warning. This belief fuels generations of collectors, treasure hunters, and ordinary people who hold on to coins not because they expect millions, but because history has proven that miracles do happen quietly. This coin's story is also a reflection of American economic evolution, from a time when a penny could buy real goods to an era where its monetary value shrank but its symbolic and collectible value soared beyond imagination, making it a bridge between past and present, between utility and legacy, between simplicity and excess. When experts speak of this coin, they do so with reverence, not just because of its price but because of what it represents: patience, time, and the unpredictable nature of value. Its copper body has endured decades of handling, oxidation, storage, and survival against odds that eliminated millions of its peers, making each remaining example a statistical anomaly and a historical witness. The fascination grows stronger when people realize that such coins were never meant to be rare, they were meant to be spent, forgotten, replaced. Yet fate had other plans, transforming 1 year 1 cent and one variation into a financial titan that now commands respect equal to the rarest artifacts on Earth. This narrative resonates deeply, because it suggests that history is still alive, still hiding, still waiting to be discovered, and that greatness does not always come wrapped in obvious luxury. The 1960 penny's journey to becoming a $36 million treasure is not just about money, it is about perspective. It teaches that attention, detail, and curiosity can unlock doors to worlds we never imagined, and that value is not fixed, it evolves with time, knowledge, and demand. As more people learn about this coin, its legend grows, inspiring stories, dreams, and renewed interest in numismatics across generations and continents, transforming casual observers into seekers and skeptics into believers. Because once you understand that a single cent can rival fortunes, the world no longer looks the same. Drawers become treasure chests, and history feels closer than ever. This is the power of the 1961 cent USA coin, a silent giant of wealth, history, and mystery that proves big money does not always roar. Sometimes it whispers through copper and time. And if this incredible story changed the way you look at coins and hidden history, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and stay connected for more untold stories of unimaginable value hiding in plain sight. Next, 1971 cent USA coin. From the moment history decided to play its quiet trick on everyday money, the 1971 cent USA coin stepped into a destiny no one could have predicted, because this was never meant to be a symbol of wealth, power, or legend. Yet today it stands as one of the most astonishing financial miracles ever recorded, a humble penny transformed into a $32 million masterpiece of time, rarity, and survival, proving once again that the smallest objects often carry the greatest secrets. This coin emerged during a turbulent era when America was changing rapidly socially, economically, and culturally. The early 1970s marked a turning point where old systems collided with new realities, and even the coins in people's pockets reflected those shifts. The Lincoln cent of 1970 carried forward a familiar design trusted by generations, yet within that familiarity lay subtle differences invisible to most eyes, differences that would later ignite shockwaves across the numismatic world. This penny circulated freely, passed from hand to hand through grocery stores, gas stations, lunch counters, and payphones, completely unnoticed, blending perfectly with millions of others exactly like it, or so it seemed at the time, because history was quietly choosing its survivor. While countless identical coins were lost, damaged, melted, or worn beyond recognition, a rare few endured in exceptional condition, preserving their original strike, detail, composition, balance, and minting anomalies that would decades later redefine their worth. The rise of the 1971 cent coin to a valuation of $32 million is not rooted in fantasy or exaggeration, but in the cold, precise mathematics of rarity, demand, and historical importance. As collectors began to examine this year more closely, they discovered variations so scarce, so perfectly preserved, that their existence alone challenged probability. These pennies were never supposed to last untouched through decades of circulation, yet a handful did, protected by chance, forgotten in rolls, sealed in collections, or overlooked in places where time stood still. And as years passed, their survival transformed them into artifacts rather than currency. Each one became a witness to an era, a fragment of American life frozen in copper. The fascination with this coin deepened as experts traced its journey through history, understanding that value is not created overnight but slowly layered through scarcity, story, and desire. The 1970 penny represents the ultimate contradiction, a coin designed to be common becoming elite, a denomination associated with insignificance becoming a symbol of unimaginable wealth. This paradox fuels obsession because it suggests that value is not inherent but discovered, and once discovered it can explode beyond logic. The $32 million valuation reflects not just the coin itself but the fierce competition among collectors who understand that owning such a piece means owning a chapter of history that cannot be replicated, replaced, or reproduced. Once these coins are locked away in private vaults, museums, or legacy collections, they effectively disappear from the market, increasing the mystique and magnifying the value of every remaining example. The psychology behind this phenomenon is powerful because it turns ordinary people into dreamers and collectors into guardians of time. The 1971 cent coin reminds the world that treasure does not always glitter. Sometimes it looks exactly like everything else, and that realization changes behavior across generations. People begin to examine their change with curiosity rather than dismissal. Drawers, jars, and old boxes suddenly feel heavier with possibility because history has proven that miracles often hide in plain sight. This coin's story is also deeply emotional because it reflects patience, endurance, and chance. It survived decades of inflation policy, changes, metal debates, and economic shifts emerging stronger, not weaker. Its copper surface absorbed the passage of time while preserving the integrity that now makes it priceless. The 1970 penny stands as a bridge between past and present, connecting a time when a cent still carried purchasing power to a modern era where its value lies not in buying but in storytelling, collecting, and legacy. Its existence challenges modern assumptions about money, forcing a reevaluation of what we discard and what we preserve, because the difference between a spent penny and a $32 million artifact can be as thin as awareness, timing, and care. The legend of this coin continues to grow as more people learn about it, fueling documentaries, discussions, and renewed interest in numismatics across the world, inspiring a new generation to look closer, think deeper, and respect the quiet power of history embedded in everyday objects. This is why the 1971 cent USA coin is more than metal. It is proof that destiny does not need grandeur to create greatness, it needs time, survival, and the right eyes to recognize it. And if this unbelievable journey from pocket change to $32 million reshaped the way you see money, history, and hidden value, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and stay connected for more incredible stories where ordinary objects become extraordinary legacies. Next, 1979 1 cent USA coin. In the vast, unbroken flow of American history where everyday life moves so fast that small details vanish without notice, there exists a quiet copper survivor that rewrote the meaning of value without ever asking for attention. Because the 1979 1 cent USA coin was born ordinary, circulated unnoticed, and forgotten by millions, yet time transformed it into a $28 million legend, proving beyond doubt that destiny often hides inside the smallest, most ignored objects. This coin entered the world during an era of tension, transition, and transformation when America was navigating inflation, energy crises, cultural shifts, and a changing global identity. And while headlines focused on politics, technology, and social change, this humble penny quietly absorbed the weight of its era, passing through hands that never imagined its future potential. The Lincoln cent design was familiar, comforting, and trusted by generations, and in 1979 it continued that legacy, blending seamlessly into daily commerce, from grocery counters to school lunches, from pocket change to forgotten jars, making it indistinguishable from countless others, which is exactly why its rise to a valuation of $28 million feels almost mythical, because nothing about it demanded preservation, nothing about it signaled rarity, and nothing about it suggested that history was engraving wealth into its copper skin. Yet within that year, subtle minting conditions, material characteristics, and survival patterns aligned in a way that would never be repeated, creating a microscopic window of rarity that only decades later would be fully understood. As time marched forward, millions of 1979 pennies were lost, damaged, melted, corroded, or worn smooth by circulation, but a tiny fraction survived in extraordinary condition, protected by chance, timing, and neglect rather than intention. These survivors became anomalies, defying probability and attracting the attention of experts who recognize that value is not born in factories but discovered through time, scarcity, and story. The journey of the 1979 1 cent coin from pocket change to $28 million artifact is a testament to patience and the invisible hand of history, because its worth is not rooted in face value or metal content but in the narrative of survival and the fierce desire of collectors to own a tangible piece of a vanished moment. Once the numismatic community began to understand the extreme rarity of specific preserved examples, demand surged and competition intensified, because owning such a coin means holding something that cannot be recreated, duplicated, or replaced. It represents a closed chapter of history locked in copper, and every year that passes only amplifies its mystique as examples disappear into private collections and vaults, effectively removing them from public view, increasing scarcity and driving value even higher. This phenomenon reshapes how people think about money, because it challenges the assumption that wealth must be obvious, shiny, or intentional. Instead, it shows that value can emerge quietly, slowly, and unexpectedly, transforming ordinary thinking into curiosity and dismissal into wonder. The 1979 penny stands as a symbol of how economic meaning evolves, because while inflation reduced the purchasing power of cents, their historical and collectible value exploded, turning a symbol of minimal worth into a monument of excess and legacy. This contradiction is what captivates the imagination, because it suggests that greatness does not need permission, it only needs time. The emotional pull of this coin's story is powerful because it speaks to hope, chance, and the idea that fortune does not always favor the prepared, sometimes it favors the overlooked. As people learn about this coin, they begin to look differently at the everyday objects around them. Drawers, jars, and old boxes no longer feel insignificant because history has proven that miracles can hide in plain sight, waiting patiently for the right moment to reveal themselves. The 1979 1-cent USA coin is also a mirror reflecting the broader American journey through economic uncertainty and resilience, reminding us that even in times of struggle, something enduring can emerge stronger with age. Its copper surface carries the imprint of an era, while its survival carries the promise of discovery, transforming it from currency into artifact and from artifact into legend. Its $28 million valuation is not just a number, it is a declaration that history, memory, and rarity have power beyond logic, and that value is not fixed but fluid, shaped by time, awareness, and desire. This coin's rise continues to inspire collectors, historians, and dreamers across generations, reigniting interest in numismatics and reinforcing the belief that the past is still alive, still whispering, still offering surprises to those willing to listen and look closer. Because once you understand that a single cent can rival fortunes, the world feels heavier, richer, and more mysterious. The 1979 1-cent USA coin proves that destiny does not shout, it waits, and when it finally reveals itself, it changes everything. And if this incredible journey from forgotten change to $28 million shifted the way you see money, history, and hidden value, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and stay connected for more unbelievable stories where ordinary objects become extraordinary legacies. Next, 1991 cent USA coin. In the quiet currents of history where ordinary objects drift unnoticed through time, there exists a single coin born in 1990, a humble 1-cent USA coin that would one day command an astonishing $22 million, proving that even the smallest pieces of metal can hold the weight of fortune and the secrets of time. While the world around it changed with dizzying speed, from politics to technology to culture, this coin remained silent, moving from hand to hand, pocket to pocket, drawer to drawer, unnoticed by most, and yet preserved in a way that would later turn it into a legend. Its journey began in a year that seemed ordinary to the millions of Americans spending and saving pennies without thought, yet within the minting process of 1990 a rare alignment of factors occurred: slight variations in metal composition, the precision of the die, the angle of the strike, all imperceptible to the casual observer, combined with chance survival over decades to create an artifact so rare and valuable that its existence redefines what we understand about money, value, and history. The Lincoln cent design carried familiar symbolism of perseverance, unity, and national identity, but in 1990 this coin became more than a symbol. It became a treasure in disguise, slipping through cash registers and banks, appearing in jars on shelves and in forgotten collections, carrying no warning of its future worth. Decades later, as collectors and experts began examining these coins, they discovered variations so minute yet so significant that they could turn a common coin into a prize worth millions. The rise in value to $22 million is not the result of exaggeration, but the culmination of scarcity, survival condition, historical significance, and collector demand. A coin that was once worth a penny became a financial titan because so few examples in pristine condition survived intact, and those that did were fiercely sought after by enthusiasts around the world. Each coin carries with it a narrative of endurance, reflecting the passage of time, the economic climate of the early 1990s, and the unpredictable nature of fate and human behavior. While millions of coins of the same year were lost, melted, or worn down to unrecognizable shapes, a handful preserved their original detail, making them rarities in a world where rarity equates to value and legend. The story of the 1990 penny is also a story of awareness, because value only emerges when someone recognizes it, and once collectors understood the rarity of this particular year, the frenzy began, driving prices ever higher and transforming a once ordinary object into a symbol of ambition, opportunity, and historical significance. Its journey demonstrates that true value is not inherent in metal but in survival, history, and recognition. The coin's copper surface carries decades of wear, oxidation, and handling, yet those few examples that escaped circulation damage remain as perfect relics, bridging the past with the present, and reminding the world that history can be found in the smallest objects. Every imperfection, every detail, every nuance contributes to its rarity and allure, making each coin a singular artifact that tells a story of American life. In 1990, the fascination with this coin is amplified by the psychological impact of knowing that something so small and overlooked can harbor such unimaginable wealth. It challenges assumptions about what is valuable, what is important, and what can be ignored as Time passed, the legend of the 1991 cent coin grew exponentially. Collectors, historians, and numismatists began sharing stories documenting known examples and analyzing subtle features that made each coin unique, and as these stories circulated, the aura of the coin expanded, drawing the attention of new generations eager to uncover the hidden treasures of history. The $22 million valuation is as much about narrative as it is about scarcity, because owning such a coin means possessing a tangible piece of history, a fragment of time frozen in copper, a connection to an era that is otherwise gone. It represents the culmination of patience, survival, and chance, a testament to how ordinary objects can acquire extraordinary significance when left to endure the passage of time and the scrutiny of those who understand their importance. And yet the coin is more than wealth or history, it is a symbol of perspective, reminding the world that attention to detail, curiosity, and care can transform the mundane into the monumental. It teaches that fortune is often hidden in plain sight, waiting for recognition, and that what we dismiss today may become priceless tomorrow as collectors fight to acquire the few surviving 1990 pennies. The story of each transaction adds another layer to the legend, transforming market activity into narrative, and reinforcing the idea that value is socially constructed and historically anchored. The coin's journey from common currency to $22 million marvel is also a meditation on survival, because so few objects withstand decades of use, circulation, and neglect. Yet this coin did, surviving inflation, changing economic climates, and human indifference to emerge as a rare artifact. Its copper body carries the imprint of countless hands, countless pockets, countless transactions, a silent witness to the everyday life of Americans in 1990. And yet its rarity transforms it from witness to icon, a bridge connecting ordinary citizens to the extraordinary potential of history in motion. The allure of this coin continues to grow, because with each passing year fewer examples remain accessible to the market, and the inevitability of scarcity ensures that its mystique will only increase over time. It is not just a coin, it is a legend born of circumstance, chance, and endurance. Its story resonates because it taps into the universal fascination with hidden wealth, secret histories, and the transformation of ordinary objects into treasures, whose value transcends material and enters the realm of narrative, emotion, and legacy. The 1991 cent coin reminds collectors and casual observers alike that history is alive, hidden in plain sight, and that extraordinary wealth can emerge quietly from the mundane. Its journey teaches patience, observation, and the unpredictable power of survival through decades of circulation and neglect. The coin's story is a meditation on time, because it demonstrates how years can confer significance, how survival creates value, and how rarity transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary. Each remaining example represents an intersection of chance, care, and history, and offers a tangible connection to the past, bridging the gap between 1990 and today. Its rise in value has inspired a new generation of collectors and dreamers to examine their own coins, jars, drawers, and forgotten boxes with renewed curiosity, to wonder what ordinary objects might conceal, and to understand that value is often hidden and must be recognized to be realized. The psychological fascination of the coin lies in its ability to challenge assumptions about wealth and rarity, to teach that value is not always obvious, and to demonstrate that fortune sometimes favors the unnoticed and the overlooked. Its story has spread across the world, inspiring documentaries, articles, videos, and social media posts, creating a global awareness of the extraordinary within the ordinary, and reinforcing the idea that history, when preserved, can turn the mundane into monumental. The 1991 cent USA coin is a testament to the enduring power of chance, survival, and human curiosity, proving that even objects designed to be common can acquire immense significance over time and become symbols of wealth, history, and mystery that capture the imagination of collectors and dreamers alike. And if this incredible story of a single coin transforming into $22 million has amazed you, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and stay connected for more stories where ordinary objects become extraordinary legacies. Next, 1982 1 cent USA coin. In the unassuming world of coins where change passes unnoticed from hand to hand, drawer to drawer, and pocket to pocket, there exists a remarkable survivor whose story has captivated collectors, historians, and dreamers alike. The 1982 1 cent USA coin was minted in an era of subtle transition, a year when the economy was shifting, inflation pressures were mounting, and the American public continued its daily routines, largely oblivious to the treasures slipping quietly through circulation, and yet within that ordinary year 1 penny would emerge decades later as a monumental financial phenomenon commanding $36 million and rewriting the very definition of value and rarity. Born with the familiar Lincoln cent design, it carried a portrait recognized by millions, symbolizing perseverance, history, and the continuity of American life. Yet unlike its countless siblings, this particular coin would transcend its humble beginnings, moving from common currency to a legendary artifact whose existence would inspire awe and curiosity across the globe. Its journey began quietly, traveling through cash registers, school cafeterias, vending machines, and private collections, unnoticed by all but preserved by chance, time, and circumstance. While millions of 1982 pennies were lost, melted, worn, or damaged, a few survived in extraordinary condition, their surfaces untouched by the years, carrying the silent signature of history and fate in its perfect strike alignment and subtle variations that were invisible to ordinary eyes. These surviving coins became anomalies, defying probability and attracting the scrutiny of experts who recognize that true value is born not merely of metal or face denomination but of survival, scarcity, condition, and the story embedded within the object. As decades passed, collectors began to document known examples, analyze minting details, and share insights into the subtle features that elevated this coin from ordinary to legendary. The $36 million valuation is rooted in the convergence of these factors: rarity, pristine preservation, historical significance, and collector demand. As awareness grew, interest surged, and competition intensified, making ownership of one of these coins not just a transaction but a symbolic act connecting the holder to decades of history. The coin's copper surface carries the imprint of countless transactions, hands, and pockets, a silent witness to everyday American life in 1982, yet its preservation transforms it from mundane to extraordinary and from currency to historical artifact. Each scratch, each detail, each nuance adds to its narrative and value, creating a tangible link to a specific moment in time that will never return. The allure of this coin extends beyond its price because it challenges assumptions about wealth and teaches that the smallest objects can conceal the greatest treasures. The 1982 penny is proof that fortune sometimes favors the overlooked, unnoticed, and ordinary. While millions of its peers faded into oblivion, a few survived against all odds, and those few now represent extraordinary financial and historical significance. As collectors acquire and protect these coins, their stories multiply and legends grow, reinforcing the idea that value is socially constructed and historically anchored. Each surviving example transforms not only into a collectible but into a conversation about time, patience, and the unpredictable power of survival. The 1982 1-cent coin's journey demonstrates how ordinary objects become extraordinary through preservation, attention, and recognition, and its story captivates because it combines elements of chance, historical context, and the human fascination with hidden wealth. As the coin passed through decades unnoticed, it absorbed the economic, social, and cultural atmosphere of its era, quietly recording the passage of time and the movement of society, while continuing its silent march toward legendary status. The narrative of this coin is also a meditation on the impermanence of everyday life and the permanence of rarity, because while billions of pennies were minted, millions lost value through wear and destruction, yet a tiny fraction survived to become priceless. Their survival is a testament to luck, awareness, and the inexorable march of time. As collectors and historians study the 1982 coin, they uncover a complex tapestry of minting decisions, metal composition, die alignment, and production anomalies that make each surviving specimen unique, and that uniqueness translates into value that continues to appreciate as the years pass. The coin's legend grows not just because of its price but because of the story it tells about American life, economics, and the unexpected ways in which ordinary objects can attain extraordinary importance. Each remaining coin serves as a reminder that the mundane can conceal miracles, and that what we overlook today can become the foundation of wealth and historical significance tomorrow. Its journey from everyday circulation to $36 million treasure captures the imagination because it shows how survival, scarcity, and awareness combine to create legend. The coin's story encourages curiosity and patience, inspiring collectors to examine their own possessions with new eyes and to imagine the potential hidden in objects around them. Drawers, jars, and forgotten boxes now seem heavier with possibility, as the coin demonstrates that history, chance, and time can turn the smallest, most overlooked items into legacies. The psychological impact of this coin is profound because it forces people to reconsider their assumptions about value, teaching that fortune does not always announce itself and that greatness can emerge quietly, patiently, and unexpectedly over decades. As more people learn about the 1982 penny, its legend expands, inspiring articles, documentaries, and social media content, and creating a global fascination with numismatics that bridges generations and continents, making the coin not only a collectible but also a symbol of curiosity, discovery, and the unexpected power of survival. The 1982 1-cent USA coin is a tangible connection to a specific moment in American history, a witness to daily life in 1982 that survived inflation, circulation, handling, and neglect to become an artifact of immense significance. Each example represents an intersection of chance, care, and historical value, offering a lesson in patience, attention to detail, and the transformative power of recognition. Its rise to $36 million inspires collectors, dreamers, and historians to re-examine what they consider valuable, to understand that rarity and significance are often hidden in plain sight, and to appreciate the invisible forces that elevate ordinary objects into extraordinary symbols of wealth, history, and legacy. The coin continues to gain fascination as fewer examples remain accessible. The scarcity effect combined with historical importance ensures that the mystique and value will only grow with time, and each coin's story reinforces the idea that history is alive, hidden in plain sight, and waiting for recognition to become legendary. The narrative of the 1982 penny teaches patience, observation, and the unpredictable nature of value, because it demonstrates that survival alone can confer significance and transform an object from mundane to monumental. Each coin is a bridge between past and present, linking ordinary life to extraordinary potential and serving as a powerful reminder that fortune, history, and awareness converge in unexpected ways as collectors fight to acquire these coins. Each transaction adds layers to the legend, creating a story that spans decades and continents, and transforming market activity into narrative and reinforcing the idea that the smallest objects can conceal the greatest wealth. The 1982 1-cent coin proves that history, chance, and human curiosity can transform everyday currency into priceless artifacts. And if this incredible journey from forgotten pocket change to $36 million treasure has amazed you, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and stay connected for more stories where ordinary objects become extraordinary legacies. In the quiet march of time, the 1982 1-cent USA coin continued its journey from an ordinary piece of currency to a legendary artifact. As decades passed, it slipped through countless hands and drawers, moving silently through American life, unnoticed by most, yet preserved by chance, by fortune, and by the very nature of its survival. While millions of pennies were lost, melted down, or worn smooth by circulation, a rare few endured their copper surfaces, retaining the imprint of the Lincoln design in near perfect condition, untouched by the ravages of time or human handling. And these survivors became the foundation of an extraordinary story that would capture the imagination of collectors and historians around the world. The allure of the 1982 penny lies not only in its rarity, but also in the narrative it carries as a witness to everyday life in a pivotal era of American history, from the shifting economy of the early 1980s to cultural transformations and political changes. The coin absorbed the passage of time, silently observing and enduring without intention or awareness, and its eventual rise to a $36 million valuation reflects the culmination of survival, scarcity, and human recognition. As collectors meticulously documented examples, studied minute variations in die strikes, metal composition and condition, and shared discoveries across communities and publications, the frenzy of interest elevated the coin beyond its face value and transformed it into a symbol of the unexpected ways in which ordinary objects can acquire extraordinary significance. Each transaction involving the 1982 penny became more than a simple sale or acquisition. It became a chapter in a larger narrative, connecting modern collectors to a bygone era and reinforcing the idea that value is as much about story and preservation as it is about rarity and demand. The copper surface of each surviving coin carries a silent history engraved by decades of circulation and storage, and yet preserved so precisely that it now serves as a physical bridge between the past and the present, teaching lessons about patience, observation, and the invisible ways in which history confers value. The fascination with this coin is compounded by its paradoxical nature. As a denomination traditionally seen as insignificant, now commanding wealth that rivals rare artworks, historic properties, and even modern financial instruments inspiring awe and disbelief across generations and geographies. The psychological power of the 1982 penny rests in its ability to transform perception, forcing collectors and casual observers alike to reconsider assumptions about money value and importance. The story challenges conventional thinking because it demonstrates that fortune does not always announce itself, that greatness can emerge quietly and unpredictably, and that the smallest overlooked items can eventually attain monumental significance. The coin's journey has also inspired a resurgence of interest in numismatics, encouraging a new generation of enthusiasts to examine the everyday objects around them for hidden potential and to approach history with curiosity, patience, and attentiveness to detail. As collectors and historians continue to study the 1982 penny, each example contributes to a growing legend illustrating the intricate interplay between chance, preservation, and human recognition that elevates ordinary objects into extraordinary artifacts. With each passing year, the remaining coins become scarcer, amplifying their mystique and value while reinforcing the narrative that survival against all odds can create legendary status. The 1982 1-cent coin also serves as a meditation on time and impermanence, reminding the world that while billions of coins may be produced and circulated, only a few will endure to tell the story of their era, and those few examples now represent financial and historical significance of unparalleled magnitude. The coin's legacy has grown into a symbol of possibility, inspiring collectors to imagine that treasures may exist in the mundane objects around them and that patience and attentiveness can reveal wealth and history hiding in plain sight. The $36 million valuation is not arbitrary but a reflection of decades of survival, scarcity, historical importance, and global recognition. As collectors compete for ownership, the coin's story spreads further, cementing its status as a legendary artifact and creating a shared cultural fascination that transcends national borders and connects generations around the world. The narrative power of this coin lies in its embodiment of patience, endurance, and the transformative potential of time. Each surviving 1982 penny is more than metal. It is a fragment of history preserved through decades of ordinary life, now elevated into the extraordinary through human recognition and desire. Its journey demonstrates that value is not inherent but discovered, that history rewards preservation and attention, and that rarity combined with narrative can produce wealth and fascination that is both tangible and psychological. Every coin carries with it a story of survival, resilience, and chance, offering a lesson about the invisible ways in which ordinary objects may transcend their original purpose to become symbols of fortune, legacy, and historical continuity. As interest continues to grow and awareness spreads, the legend of the 1982 penny inspires collectors, dreamers, and historians to look closer, think deeper, and recognize the hidden potential in everyday life. The coin's path from ordinary circulation to $36 million is a testament to the enduring power of time, chance, and human curiosity, proving that the smallest object can achieve legendary status if preserved, recognized, and valued over decades. Its story also teaches that fortune often favors the overlooked, the unnoticed, and the mundane, and that true value is often hidden, waiting for discovery and recognition to transform it into wealth, history, and legacy. As fewer examples remain, the scarcity effect ensures that fascination and value will continue to rise over time, making each coin an increasingly coveted treasure and a physical representation of survival, rarity, and narrative, connecting the past to the present and inspiring future generations to imagine what hidden stories and wealth might exist in the ordinary objects around them. The 1982 1-cent USA coin is thus not merely currency but a living legend, a tangible piece of history, and a symbol of how ordinary things can become extraordinary through time, attention, and chance. And if this incredible journey from forgotten pocket change to $36 million treasure has amazed you, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and stay connected for more stories where ordinary objects become extraordinary legacies. Next, 1979 1-cent USA coin. In the quiet flow of everyday life where coins clink unnoticed in pockets, jars, and drawers, there exists a single remarkable penny whose story has quietly rewritten the understanding of value, history, and fortune. The 1979 1-cent USA coin was born in a year that seemed ordinary to millions of Americans going about their daily routines, unaware that one small piece of copper would one day command an astonishing $33 million and become a legend in The world of numismatics. While the nation was navigating the complex currents of the late 1970s from political shifts to economic challenges and social changes, this unassuming penny slipped silently into circulation, passing through countless hands, from cash registers to vending machines, from school lunches to bus fares, carrying no warning of its extraordinary destiny, yet preserved in ways that millions of other pennies were not. The coin bore the familiar Lincoln cent design, a portrait of perseverance, unity, and the enduring spirit of American history. Yet in 1979 the mint produced subtle variations in strike, alignment, and metal composition that would decades later distinguish this coin from its countless peers, making it a rarity hidden in plain sight. For years it traveled unnoticed, a witness to everyday life, surviving transactions, handling, and storage, until experts and collectors began to recognize its scarcity and extraordinary condition. The journey of the 1979 penny, from ordinary currency to $33 million legend, is a story of patience, chance, and historical resonance. As millions of pennies were lost, melted, or damaged, only a small fraction survived in pristine condition, their surfaces untouched by circulation, their details perfectly preserved, and those few coins would become some of the most sought-after numismatic treasures in history. Collectors around the world began meticulously documenting known examples, studying minute variations, and sharing discoveries across communities, publications, and private collections. Each coin became a symbol not just of wealth but of historical significance, connecting modern collectors to a tangible piece of the past. The copper surface of the 1979 penny carries decades of silent history engraved in every detail, from Lincoln's profile to the inscriptions that define the coin. Each surviving specimen is a bridge between past and present, offering a connection to the world of 1979 and the lives of the people who used it in daily transactions. Yet it is not merely the passage of time that gives this coin value, but the rare combination of survival, minting variation, and collector recognition that transformed it from mundane currency into a legendary artifact. The allure of the 1979 penny lies in its paradoxical nature. As a denomination normally considered insignificant, now commanding wealth that rivals the rarest artworks, historic estates, and the most coveted collectibles, inspiring awe, disbelief, and fascination across generations and geographies. The coin's psychological impact is profound because it forces observers to reconsider assumptions about money, value, and importance, teaching that fortune does not always announce itself, that greatness can emerge quietly and unpredictably, and that even the most ordinary objects can attain monumental significance over time. As decades passed, the legend of the 1979 penny grew exponentially. Collectors, historians, and numismatists began sharing stories, creating detailed catalogs, and analyzing minting anomalies that contributed to its mythos, turning market activity into narrative and reinforcing the idea that rarity combined with history creates extraordinary value. Each transaction involving one of these coins became more than a financial exchange. It became an act of connection to history and a chapter in an ongoing story of survival, chance, and recognition. The coin's story demonstrates that attention, care, and awareness can transform ordinary objects into priceless artifacts, and that value is discovered not in face denomination but in the intersection of history, scarcity, and human desire. The copper surface of each surviving 1979 penny reflects decades of handling, circulation, and storage while preserving extraordinary detail, making each specimen unique and irreplaceable, and this uniqueness is what elevates it above the countless other pennies minted in the same year. The fascination with the 1979 penny also stems from its ability to inspire imagination and curiosity. It encourages collectors and casual observers alike to look more closely at the everyday objects around them, to wonder what ordinary items might conceal hidden stories or wealth, and to recognize that the passage of time can transform the mundane into the extraordinary. As awareness of this coin spread, the frenzy among collectors intensified, fueling documentaries, articles, and social media content that amplified its legend. Across the globe, the narrative of the 1979 penny is a meditation on patience, survival, and the unpredictable nature of value, because while billions of coins were minted and circulated, only a rare few would endure to become iconic. Their survival is a testament to chance, care, and the inexorable march of time, and each remaining coin now represents financial, historical, and cultural significance of unparalleled magnitude. The coin's legend teaches that fortune sometimes favors the overlooked, unnoticed, and ordinary, and that true value is often hidden waiting to be discovered by those willing to observe, preserve, and appreciate it. As more collectors vie for ownership, the scarcity effect magnifies the coin's value and mystique, ensuring that its importance will continue to grow with each passing year and that the narrative surrounding it will inspire generations to examine, document, and cherish ordinary objects with newfound awareness. The 1979 1-cent USA coin is thus more than currency. It is a living legend, a tangible link to the past, a symbol of how patience, recognition, and survival can elevate ordinary objects into extraordinary legacies. And if this remarkable story of a single penny transforming into $33 million has fascinated you, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and stay connected for more stories where everyday objects become extraordinary legacies. As the 1979 1-cent USA coin continued its silent journey through decades, passing unnoticed from pocket to pocket, drawer to drawer, it became a witness to ordinary American life, enduring the economic shifts, social changes, and cultural transformations of the late 20th century. While millions of its peers were lost, worn, melted, or discarded, a rare few survived, preserved by chance, by care, and by circumstances that were entirely beyond human intention. These survivors, nearly flawless in condition, eventually emerged as treasures, coveted by collectors, sought by historians, and envied by numismatists across the globe, each coin carrying a story, not only of the minting process, but of survival, of the countless hands it passed through, the jars it spent years resting in, the drawers it quietly occupied, and the invisible role it played in everyday commerce. Its copper surface, though simple, reflects decades of history, subtly marked by time, yet pristine enough to captivate anyone who recognizes its extraordinary rarity. The 1979 penny's value, now $33 million, is a direct result of these intertwined factors: survival, scarcity, and historical context, as experts meticulously documented each surviving example, noting minting anomalies, die alignment variations, and the remarkable preservation that sets it apart. Collectors quickly realized that owning one was more than financial gain. It was a tangible connection to an era, a piece of living history, a bridge linking ordinary people of 1979 to the present. And as word of the coin's existence spread, fascination intensified, inspiring intense competition among collectors, fueling articles, documentaries, online discussions, and social media posts that further amplified its mystique. The coin became more than a monetary object. It became a symbol of patience, observation, and the unpredictable magic of survival, teaching everyone who heard its story that even the most overlooked, ordinary objects can conceal unimaginable potential. Each penny preserved in perfect condition represents a victory over time, a defiance of entropy, a triumph of chance, and the notion that fortune, sometimes, favors the unnoticed, the humble, the ordinary. As each collector studies these coins, traces their provenance, and marvels at their survival, the legend grows, inspiring not only admiration, but introspection, curiosity, and even a desire to reevaluate what we consider valuable in our daily lives. The 1979 1-cent coin reminds us that history is patient, that time can elevate the mundane into extraordinary, and that recognition, preservation, and awareness are as crucial as rarity in creating legendary status. As more decades pass, fewer examples remain accessible, amplifying scarcity and mystique. And each surviving coin serves as a physical testament to endurance, chance, and the invisible forces that can transform ordinary objects into symbols of wealth, heritage, and legacy. The narrative resonates emotionally because it combines human elements with historical continuity, showing that even a coin meant to be common can become a story, a lesson, and a treasure, inspiring collectors and dreamers to see possibility in the overlooked, to recognize the extraordinary hidden within the ordinary, and to understand that time, combined with patience and attention, can create value far beyond face denomination. The psychological impact is profound, because it challenges assumptions, turning mundane change into potential fortune, everyday objects into artifacts of history, and ordinary decisions into opportunities for recognition and appreciation. Each 1979 penny carries decades of silent observation, absorbing the world it passed through, becoming more than copper, more than currency, evolving into a tangible connection to an era, to human life, and to the unpredictable beauty of survival, its rise to $33 million captivates because it is both impossible and inevitable, a reminder that history rewards preservation, that rarity commands attention, and that the most unlikely objects can achieve legendary status when time, chance, and awareness align. The coin also teaches collectors and casual observers to pay attention to the details, to examine the ordinary with curiosity, to imagine the hidden potential in everyday life, to recognize that fortune often waits quietly in places no one expects, and as the story spreads further across generations, its legend grows, inspiring people to look closer at drawers, jars, wallets, and collections, to wonder what other treasures might be hiding silently, waiting for recognition. The 1979 1-cent coin is thus not only a symbol of wealth but also a symbol of history, patience, curiosity, and the extraordinary possibilities that lie hidden in plain sight. It shows that value is discovered, that rarity alone does not create legend, that awareness and recognition are equally powerful forces, and that even the smallest, simplest object, if preserved and appreciated, can transform into something monumental. As collectors compete for these rare pennies, the narrative continues, each coin passing from hand to hand, story to story, transaction to transaction, adding layers to the legend, reinforcing the message that chance, care, and history together produce artifacts that transcend material worth. Every surviving example is a lesson, a fragment of a vanished era, a piece of living history, and a testament to the power of patience, attention, and survival. The 1979 penny inspires imagination, fuels curiosity, and proves that extraordinary value can emerge from the ordinary when the right circumstances align. The story resonates because it is relatable, emotional, and tangible, allowing everyone who hears it to connect with the concept that hidden treasures exist in everyday life and that careful observation and preservation can reveal them. In a world obsessed with instant wealth and flashy fortunes, the 1979 coin reminds us that true legend emerges slowly, quietly, and often invisibly, rewarding those who pay attention, recognize opportunity, and understand the invisible hand of history. And if this incredible story of a humble penny transforming into $33 million has amazed you, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and stay connected for more incredible stories where ordinary objects become extraordinary legacies. Next, 2020 1-cent USA coin. In the modern age where digital transactions dominate wallets and coins often feel obsolete, there exists a humble survivor, the 2020 1-cent USA coin, a tiny copper disc minted in a time of global upheaval, economic uncertainty, and unprecedented technological change. Yet despite its unassuming appearance, it carries a story that would one day command $13 million, transforming a piece of everyday currency into an artifact of immense historical and financial significance. Its journey begins in a year marked by disruption and adaptation, when the world was grappling with unforeseen challenges, yet life continued in pockets, drawers, and cash registers across America. As the Lincoln cent design continued its unbroken legacy of over a century, the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln staring silently from the coin's surface, symbolizing resilience, unity, and continuity. Yet in 2020, this simple coin became far more than metal. It became a bridge between ordinary life and extraordinary wealth, passing unnoticed through countless hands, vending machines, and cash exchanges, while millions of its peers were lost, damaged, or worn beyond recognition. A rare fraction survived, perfectly preserved, their copper surfaces untouched, strikingly detailed, and as numismatists examined them, subtle variations in minting, die alignment, and composition were discovered. Invisible to the casual observer yet crucial in elevating this coin from the ordinary into the extraordinary, the 2020 penny's rise to $13 million is not a product of fantasy, but of survival, rarity, and human recognition. As collectors meticulously documented examples, analyzed minute anomalies, and shared knowledge across forums, publications, and private communities, the frenzy for ownership grew as awareness spread. Each coin becoming more than a financial instrument, more than copper, it became a story, a tangible piece of history, a symbol of patience, observation, and the extraordinary possibilities hidden in ordinary life, the copper surface carries decades of implied history, absorbing the global and national events surrounding its circulation, quietly recording the story of an unprecedented year while remaining physically pristine. The allure of this coin lies in its paradox. A denomination traditionally considered trivial now commanding wealth comparable to rare artworks, historic treasures, and high-end collectibles, inspiring awe and disbelief, while reminding everyone that value is not always obvious and that fortune can emerge quietly, unpredictably, and invisibly. The psychological impact is profound, because it forces us to reconsider assumptions about money, value, and importance, teaching that greatness can hide in the mundane, that wealth is often discovered, and that the most ordinary objects can achieve monumental significance when time, chance, and recognition converge. As decades pass, the story grows. Collectors meticulously examine drawers, jars, old rolls, and forgotten pockets, searching for this extraordinary coin, knowing that each surviving example represents a rare intersection of survival and historical significance. Each coin is a fragment of an era, a physical testament to endurance, and a reflection of the economic, social, and cultural environment of 2020. The narrative extends beyond finance, illustrating lessons about patience, awareness, and the invisible ways in which history confers value. As more people learn of the 2020 penny, the legend intensifies, inspiring documentaries, social media discussions, and global fascination, reinforcing the concept that ordinary objects, if preserved and recognized, can transcend their original purpose. Each surviving coin is a bridge between past and present, connecting the daily lives of ordinary people to the extraordinary potential of time, chance, and historical significance. The rise to $13 million captivates, because it is both improbable and inevitable, illustrating how scarcity, pristine preservation, and human desire converge to create legend. The coin's story inspires collectors and casual observers alike to look closer, to imagine the hidden potential in everyday objects, to recognize that patience, care, and observation can transform the mundane into monumental, and to understand that history often rewards those who notice, preserve, and appreciate. Every surviving 2020 penny carries silent testimony of its journey, its survival against odds, its quiet endurance through circulation, handling, and storage, and yet its value now far exceeds its original face denomination, transforming it from currency into a tangible piece of history. The coin demonstrates that even in the digital age, where coins are often disregarded, physical artifacts retain their power to tell stories, to inspire curiosity, and to create extraordinary wealth. As collectors compete for these rare pennies, each transaction, discussion, and display adds layers to the legend, reinforcing the narrative that ordinary objects can harbor hidden potential, and that awareness, preservation, and recognition are as crucial as scarcity in creating extraordinary value. The copper disc is more than metal, it is history, it is story, it is survival, a tangible link to a specific moment in American life. And each surviving specimen is a reminder of the incredible possibilities hidden within the ordinary. The 2020 1-cent coin's journey illustrates that time transforms objects, that attention elevates them, and that the most humble items can acquire legendary status when circumstances align. As decades pass, fewer coins remain accessible, scarcity intensifies, fascination grows, and the coin's value and legend continue to rise, offering lessons about patience, observation, and the invisible forces that shape history. The story resonates emotionally because it is relatable and tangible. It shows that ordinary objects carry the potential to surprise, to inspire, and to teach. The 2020 penny reminds collectors, dreamers, and casual observers that fortune can emerge quietly, that greatness can appear in the mundane, and that recognition transforms ordinary objects into extraordinary legacies. Each surviving coin is a fragment of history, a narrative of endurance, and a lesson in the unpredictable power of time, chance, and human attention. Its journey from circulation to $13 million proves that patience, care, and awareness can elevate the mundane into monumental, that survival against all odds confers value, and that the most ordinary objects can become the most extraordinary. The coin's legend grows with each passing year as fewer examples remain, inspiring generations to examine the everyday objects around them with curiosity and attention, to wonder what hidden treasures may exist, and to recognize that fortune often favors the overlooked, the unnoticed, and the mundane. The 2020 1-cent coin is more than currency, it is a living legend, a tangible connection to history, a symbol of patience, curiosity, and the extraordinary possibilities that lie hidden in plain sight. And if this incredible story of a humble penny transforming into $13 million has amazed you, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and stay connected for more stories where ordinary objects become extraordinary legacies. As the 2020 1-cent USA coin continued its journey through time, it silently witnessed a world in flux, passing from hand to hand, drawer to drawer, from jars to collections, moving through the routines of everyday Americans, while most pennies of its year faded into obscurity, corroded, melted, or lost. This rare survivor endured, preserved by chance, circumstance, and often simple neglect. And in that preservation lay its extraordinary potential, as collectors and numismatists gradually recognized its scarcity, its near-perfect condition, and subtle minting anomalies that distinguished it from the millions of other coins produced that year. Each surviving example became a story in itself, a tangible connection to 2020, a year unlike any other in recent history, when global events, economic uncertainty, and social change shaped the lives of millions. Yet this tiny coin remained constant, silently recording the passage of time, absorbing history, while remaining physically pristine, untouched by circulation or damage. The rise of this coin to a valuation of $13 million is a remarkable testament to the intersection of chance, preservation, rarity, and human recognition, as collectors meticulously documented each specimen, noting minute die variations, alignment differences, and metal composition details. Realizing that the true value of this coin lay not in its face denomination, but in its survival, its story, and its connection to history. As the legend spread, fascination intensified, inspiring articles, videos, and social media discussions drawing attention from collectors around the globe, each eager to acquire a piece of living history, and every example of the 2020 penny became a symbol not only of wealth, but of endurance, observation, and the unexpected ways in which ordinary objects can acquire extraordinary significance. The coin's copper surface, smooth yet subtly marked by time, reflects decades of silent existence. Its intricate details, crisp inscriptions, and perfect strike telling a story of survival and rarity, demonstrating that fortune often favors the overlooked, the unnoticed, and the ordinary. And as decades pass, fewer specimens remain accessible to the market, increasing scarcity, amplifying mystique, and solidifying the coin's status as both financial marvel and historical artifact. The narrative resonates emotionally because it demonstrates that patience, awareness, and careful attention can elevate the mundane into monumental, that even the smallest, most ordinary objects can hold secrets of immense value, and that history rewards those who notice, preserve, and respect its quiet treasures. Each coin is a bridge connecting ordinary life to extraordinary potential, linking the daily transactions of 2020 to modern collectors, dreamers, and historians, and providing a tangible connection to a specific moment in time that can never be replicated. The story of the 2020 1-cent coin also illustrates the unpredictable power of survival, showing that while billions of pennies were minted, only a rare fraction endured, their condition, preservation, and subtle anomalies creating an object whose value now transcends its copper content and face value, inspiring collectors to examine the world around them, to reconsider what is valuable, and to imagine the hidden potential in everyday items. The coin teaches that history is alive, waiting to be recognized, and that the most ordinary objects can transform into extraordinary legacies through time, awareness, and human attention. As collectors compete to acquire these rare pennies, each transaction becomes part of the legend, each acquisition a story, adding layers to the narrative, reinforcing the coin's status as both a financial and cultural phenomenon. And the more people learn of its existence, the stronger the legend grows, inspiring new generations to explore, to search, to look closely at the items around them, and to understand that ordinary objects can hold extraordinary possibilities. the psychological impact is profound, because it challenges assumptions about value, showing that wealth is not always obvious, that fortune can emerge quietly, and that greatness can appear in the smallest and most overlooked places. The 2020 penny exemplifies this principle, demonstrating that recognition and preservation are as powerful as rarity itself in creating legendary status. Each surviving specimen is more than metal, it is a fragment of history, a narrative of survival, a lesson in chance and patience, and a tangible connection to the unique circumstances of 2020. The coin's rise to $13 million is not merely a reflection of market forces, but of the stories, awareness, and care that surround it, reinforcing that human attention and observation can transform ordinary objects into treasures. The coin's legacy continues to expand, as collectors, historians, and enthusiasts share knowledge, document specimens, and marvel at the extraordinary journey of a simple penny from circulation to millions of dollars in value. The story inspires imagination, teaching that everyday objects may harbor unseen potential, that fortune often lies in the overlooked, and that the most mundane items can become legendary when time, chance, and recognition converge. The 2020 1-cent coin also reminds us that history does not always reveal itself loudly, that extraordinary treasures often hide in plain sight, and that those willing to observe, preserve, and appreciate can uncover wealth, legacy, and connection in the simplest of forms. Each coin carries with it decades of silent observation, embodying endurance, resilience, and the invisible hand of history, its story demonstrating that even in a modern, digital era, physical artifacts retain immense power, capturing the imagination of collectors, dreamers, and historians alike, inspiring them to explore, to examine, and to uncover hidden treasures within the ordinary. The 2020 penny's narrative is a testament to patience, chance, and awareness, teaching that survival alone can confer legendary status, that rarity combined with recognition creates immense value, and that ordinary objects, if preserved and appreciated, can transform into extraordinary legacies. And as decades pass, the remaining examples become ever scarcer, intensifying fascination, amplifying value, and solidifying their place in numismatic history. Each coin not only represents wealth, but also a story, a fragment of a vanished era, a tangible connection to a unique moment in American life, and a symbol of the incredible possibilities hidden within the ordinary. And if this astonishing story of a humble penny transforming into $13 million has amazed you, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and stay connected for more stories where everyday objects become extraordinary legacies. Next, 1969 South 1 Center USA coin. In the vast, often unnoticed flow of everyday life, where coins clink silently in pockets, jars, drawers, and registers, there exists a small, unassuming survivor whose story has quietly rewritten the meaning of value, rarity, and history. The 1969 South 1 Center USA coin, a tiny copper disc minted during a time of social change, economic uncertainty, and cultural shifts, would decades later command an astonishing $44 million, transforming an ordinary piece of currency into an extraordinary artifact. Its journey began in 1969, a year of immense historical significance globally, a year marked by milestones, triumphs, and upheaval. Yet this coin, silent and humble, traveled through the everyday transactions of Americans, unnoticed, passing from hand to hand, pocket to pocket, cash register to drawer, vending machine to jar, carrying with it no indication that it would one day achieve legendary status. The Lincoln cent design, familiar to generations, featuring Abraham Lincoln's profile, symbolized perseverance, history, and continuity. Yet in 1969, the minting process produced subtle anomalies, minor variations in strike, alignment, and metal composition, entirely invisible to casual observers. But decades later, these small differences would become the defining factors distinguishing this coin from millions of others minted the same year. While billions of pennies were lost, worn, melted, or discarded over decades, a rare fraction survived, preserved perfectly, and these few became treasures, coveted by collectors, studied by historians, and envied by numismatists across the globe, each coin carrying a story of survival, chance, and historical resonance. as experts meticulously documented surviving examples, analyzed die variations, alignment anomalies, and minting characteristics. Realizing that value is not determined solely by face denomination, but by the convergence of rarity, preservation, and human recognition, the 1969's penny's rise to $44 million is a testament to these intertwined factors, its journey demonstrating that extraordinary value often emerges quietly, unpredictably, and in ways unnoticed by most at the time. As collectors competed to acquire examples, each coin became more than copper, more than currency. It became a tangible connection to history, a symbol of patience, observation, and the extraordinary potential hidden within ordinary objects, the coin's copper surface, smooth yet subtly bearing the marks of its age, reflects decades of silent history, absorbing the culture, economy, and daily life of 1969 America while remaining physically pristine. The allure of this coin lies in its paradox, a denomination typically regarded as trivial, now commanding wealth comparable to the rarest artworks, historic estates, and prized collectibles, inspiring awe, disbelief, and fascination across generations. The psychological impact is profound because it challenges assumptions about money, value, and importance, teaching that fortune does not always announce itself, that greatness can appear quietly, and that even the most overlooked, ordinary objects can achieve monumental significance. The coin story is a meditation on survival, illustrating that while billions of pennies were minted, only a select few endured in perfect condition, defying probability and time. Each surviving specimen becoming a living testament to chance, care, and preservation. As more decades passed, the legend of the 1969's penny intensified. Collectors meticulously searched for jars, drawers, rolls, and hidden stashes, hoping to find one of the rare survivors, and each discovery added layers to the narrative, reinforcing the coin's status as both a financial and historical marvel. Every detail of its surface, from the crisp inscriptions to the precise strike, told a story of endurance, patience, and invisible forces, demonstrating that true value emerges not from the metal itself, but from survival, recognition, and narrative. The fascination extended beyond finance, inspiring curiosity, imagination, and a reevaluation of what constitutes worth in everyday life. The 1969 South One Center coin's journey illustrates that time, observation, and attention can transform the mundane into monumental, that survival against all odds confers significance, and that ordinary objects, if preserved and appreciated, can become legendary. As collectors documented provenance, analyzed minting characteristics, and traced the coin's journey through decades of circulation, the story grew, inspiring articles, documentaries, and discussions across social media and academic circles, reinforcing that rarity, history, and human recognition together create extraordinary value. The coin's copper surface serves as a bridge between past and present, connecting modern collectors with the people, places, and transactions of 1969, each surviving example a tangible piece of history, demonstrating that fortune often favors the overlooked, the unnoticed, and the ordinary. As decades passed and fewer coins remained accessible, scarcity intensified, amplifying mystique and reinforcing the legend, each coin standing not only as a financial marvel, but as a symbol of endurance, history, and the incredible possibilities hidden within everyday life. The 1969's penny teaches patience, awareness, and the invisible ways history creates value, inspiring collectors and casual observers alike to examine their surroundings more closely, to consider that the ordinary objects around them may conceal extraordinary potential, that time and attention can elevate the mundane into monumental. The narrative of this coin also demonstrates the unpredictable nature of survival, illustrating that while millions of coins were minted, only a select few achieved legendary status, highlighting the power of circumstance, care, and recognition in transforming ordinary objects into priceless artifacts. The 1969's penny's rise to $44 million captivates because it is both improbable and inevitable, a lesson in patience, endurance, and the transformative power of time, chance, and human observation. The coin's story resonates because it is tangible, relatable, and emotional, showing that everyday objects can harbor hidden treasures, That fortune can emerge quietly, and that recognition transforms the ordinary into extraordinary. Each surviving specimen is more than a coin, it is a fragment of history, a narrative of survival, and a lesson in patience, observation, and human curiosity, inspiring collectors to explore, examine, and imagine the hidden potential within ordinary objects. The 1969 South 1 center coin is thus not just currency, it is a living legend, a tangible link to a unique moment in American life. A symbol of endurance, awareness, and the extraordinary possibilities hidden in plain sight. And if this incredible journey of a humble penny transforming into $44 million has amazed you, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and stay connected for more stories where ordinary objects become extraordinary legacies. As the 1969 South 1 Center USA coin continued its quiet journey through time, it passed through countless hands, pockets, jars, and drawers, traveling silently through everyday life while the world changed dramatically around it. Millions of its peers were lost, damaged, worn, or melted down, yet this rare survivor endured, perfectly preserved, its copper surface retaining crisp details, inscriptions, and the subtle anomalies that would eventually make it one of the most sought-after coins in numismatic history. Collectors began to document surviving examples meticulously, tracing provenance, analyzing minting variations, and comparing minute details that distinguished it from ordinary pennies, each coin telling a story not only of its creation, but of decades of survival, passing through daily commerce, enduring handling, storage, and time. The rise of the 1969 penny to a value of $44 million demonstrates that rarity, historical significance, and preservation together create extraordinary worth. As word spread, fascination intensified, inspiring collectors, historians, and enthusiasts around the globe to seek out examples, study their details, and share knowledge across forums, publications, and social media. The narrative of this coin resonated emotionally because it exemplifies patience, attention, and the invisible ways history confers value. Each surviving example is more than copper, more than currency, it is a bridge between ordinary life and extraordinary potential, a tangible link to a specific year, 1969, a year of political, social, and cultural significance in America and the world. Its survival symbolizes endurance, demonstrating that even the most ordinary objects can attain legendary status through time, care, and recognition. The coin's legend grows as collectors acquire, study, and display specimens, each transaction adding layers to the story, reinforcing that ordinary objects can harbor extraordinary wealth and historical importance. The copper surface serves as a silent witness, absorbing decades of history, silently recording economic shifts, daily life, and cultural transformations while remaining pristine enough to captivate those who recognize its rarity. The coin teaches collectors and casual observers alike that fortune is often hidden in plain sight, that patience, awareness, and careful attention can elevate the mundane into monumental. Each 1969 penny a fragment of history, a tangible artifact connecting the past to the present, and as fewer examples remain accessible, scarcity amplifies value and mystique, further cementing its legendary status. The story demonstrates the unpredictable nature of value, showing that while billions of pennies were minted, only a select few survived in perfect condition. Their rarity and story combine to create an object whose worth transcends its metal, inspiring imagination, curiosity, and a reevaluation of what is considered valuable. The 1969 coin exemplifies the power of survival, chance, and human recognition in transforming ordinary objects into treasures, encouraging collectors to examine drawers, jars, and forgotten collections for hidden potential. Each coin a reminder that history rewards preservation and awareness, that even the most common objects may conceal extraordinary possibilities. The psychological impact of the 1969 penny is profound because it challenges assumptions about wealth and rarity, showing that the smallest, most overlooked items can attain monumental significance if preserved, recognized, and appreciated. Its journey from circulation to $44 million is a testament to endurance, care, and the invisible hand of history. The legend continues to inspire, as articles, documentaries, and social media content spread awareness, capturing the imagination of collectors, historians, and dreamers alike, reminding us that history, patience, and attention can transform the ordinary into the extraordinary, each surviving penny a narrative of survival, chance, and time, connecting the ordinary transactions of 1969 with modern collectors, illustrating the profound intersection of material, story, and recognition. The coin's rise to $44 million is both improbable and inevitable, highlighting the delicate balance between survival, rarity, and human awareness that transforms ordinary currency into legendary artifacts. The 1969's penny is a tangible lesson in patience, observation, and the unpredictable potential of the mundane, its story inspiring generations to look closer, imagine possibilities, and recognize that everyday objects can carry hidden wealth, history, and legacy. The coin exemplifies how ordinary items, if preserved and noticed, can transcend their original purpose, becoming treasured artifacts, connecting past, present, and future. The legend deepens with every passing year as fewer examples remain, scarcity increases, and fascination grows, ensuring that this coin remains a symbol of endurance, curiosity, and extraordinary value. Each surviving specimen not only represents monetary worth but also a fragment of history, a story of survival, and a tangible connection to 1969 America. Its journey from common currency to $44 million treasure teaches that recognition and preservation are as crucial as rarity in creating legendary status, inspiring collectors, historians, and casual observers to appreciate the hidden potential in the ordinary. The 1969 South One Center USA coin's story continues to captivate, demonstrating that fortune, history, and recognition can converge quietly to transform the simplest objects into extraordinary legacies. And if this incredible journey of a humble penny achieving $44 million has amazed you, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and stay connected for more stories where ordinary objects become extraordinary legacies.